Right, welcome back to another episode of Ear Candy with myself, Danny. And today we've got in the building David Barr. How's it going?
Good, Danny. How's it going?
Aye, fucking brand new. It's nice to get you in here after chatting for so long on Instagram. As we were just saying there, how I found you originally was you were on Instagram. So you get like those sort of promotional reels that pop up. And it was you standing on Princess Street advertising a tune. Or I seen Princess Street first and I was like,
so is that what drew you in? Was it you saw Princess Street and you thought, instantly recognised that I'm going to keep watching this video?
Yeah.
See, that's the way it works, man.
Yeah.
You've got to hook people in instantly, and it's all about the backgrounds and where you are and stuff.
And plus, you got to think, even if you're not from Edinburgh, Princess Street itself is pretty lovely. So, like you say, the background and that. But yeah, I seen that. Then I listened to what you said. You were advertising your song Monday's Rain. And I listened to it and I was like, holy shit, I want to know a little bit about this guy's story.
Cool.
So that's how I ended up reaching out to you and get you on here. This is the platform where we give musicians and bands and artists their platform to learn a bit about themselves. So that's why you're...
Well, that's cool, because obviously for me at the moment, this is me just releasing music as a solo artist, completely fresh. You know, I took a couple of years off from doing music, so promoting myself, it's all brand new to what it was even 2 years ago. You know what I mean? It's constantly changing. So I'm glad that worked, because it's trial and error. It honestly is trial and error for me at the moment. You know, I have to admit that doing the social media stuff, the TikTok, the Instagram, and selling yourself isn't something that really comes naturally to me, to be honest.
Yep.
You know, I'm trying to embrace that and work it, because that really is the best tool to get yourself out there nowadays. So, yeah, so that's cool.
You're just doing it yourself then, yeah?
Everything's me at the moment.
Right.
I obviously work with producers. So a producer in America that I was working with called Anthony J. Resta. He's who worked with me on Monday's Rain. So it's us playing the instruments on the recording. But as for promoting myself, I work with a company called Highway 101 Entertainment. Right. But they're mainly based in film. So they're kind of new to music, but they've got big belief in me as an artist. And they've been a huge help to me over the years. So we're working together. But again, it's my job to go and do the research and find out how the industry works now and do the work. So
Absolutely. Well, because the thing is, there would have been a big difference from your time when you were in the band. Was it the Moon Kids you were in, Have you noticed a difference in just like how to promote yourself for being in a band back then compared to what it is now?
It's completely changed. It's completely different now. So yeah, it's getting used to it. I mean, the whole TikTok thing, that was never, when we were coming up as a band and when we were doing really well, nobody used TikTok. Yep. That wasn't what you did. It was different ways of promoting. You would get press, all that kind of stuff, but none of that stuff really matters so much anymore. You know, everything's instant. You need to hook people online, go viral. Yep. You got 15, 30 seconds to do that.
So you've got to sell yourself in that short period of time, It's difficult.
It is difficult. For a lot of artists, I bet it's difficult, because we're not all, you know, for me, like music and writing songs and stuff like that, and it really is the art form that I'm in love with. I love making music and always have. I've always hated selling myself, man. Like,
and it is important to do that if you are an artist.
Part of the game. You have to embrace it, and you have to learn to be comfortable with it. So
I was like that. I've got a little daft YouTube thing on the side where it's like games and all that I cover, like retro games, and I'll sit and I'll talk about them, and I record all the footage and play through it, and then just sort of like review them in a way. And it's only since doing this in here and learning about TikTok, and I'm thinking there's all these different avenues that you can, you know, self-promote. Like I'm a bit like yourself. Like TikTok was completely brand new to me. Yeah. Like every time I went on TikTok previously, or it was more my missus, to be honest, because it wasn't really anything I messed around with, and she'd like scroll through it, and I'm just like, they just all look like nonsense on it, like guys dancing in front of cameras and all that shit. I'm like, what's going on? I think
when it first came out, there was a lot of that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just like stupidity.
Dancing and just daft. There's still a lot of daft clips on it, but now there's a lot more thoughtful content on it as well, you know what I mean? So it's like
bit more substance there rather than just
a
stupidity.
lot more than what it was, but you know, it is what it is. TikTok is what it is.
So you've got quite a good background in music. Like I say, the whole point of getting folk in here is to learn a bit about yourself. You're a solo artist now, but you've been in a band. Like, how did you get your first start in music? Obviously, it would have been listening to it, I assume.
Absolutely. So as a kid, I mean, both my parents were big music fans. So I had music all around me, good music from the get-go. You know, I can really thank my parents for that.
What were they listening to when you were younger?
Oh, David Bowie, Jimi Hendrix, rock and roll music, but also techno music, electronic music, you know, Kraftwerk and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it was just always good music. And, you know, as a little kid, I did get the odd Now album, as we all do.
We all did, to be fair.
We all do. But for real, I was listening to like great music and guitar bands from like being a toddler. Yeah. You know, I've always liked music. And then as I got a bit older, I think I was 14 when I decided to start learning the guitar. And it just came naturally. It was like the first thing that I discovered. I was always good at drawing, but like schoolwork and stuff like that, I always find it hard to focus and pay attention. I was the same, mate. I was the same. But when it came to learning the guitar and art, it just came naturally, and I really enjoyed it.
So was that something you learned at school, like in music class or something? Yeah.
No, not at all, mate. My dad had it was like an old Echo acoustic guitar, so I just used to pick that up, and he would show me a few chords and stuff like that because he can play a bit of guitar, and I just took it from there. And like I say, it came naturally. I had a Stone Roses like tab book that I used to learn from, and a David Bowie one as well. So I used to try and learn those songs, but I used to get impatient with that. So I literally just used to, as soon as I knew 3 or 4 chords, I was writing songs, you know, straight away. And then after that, I got an 8-track for Christmas, and I just used to record my own songs, produce my own stuff on an 8-track, which I've still got in a cupboard. I'm terrified to pull it out and listen to it. You know,
cringe, I
would really cringe, but that was really what, you know, that was my start. Realizing I'm quite good at this. You know what I mean? I can sing, I can play the guitar, and then I always wanted to start a band, but none of my mates that I was at school with were really into music at that point. You know, just like normal lads from Dunfermline, we were into football and all that kind of stuff. It was never music. Was never really a big interest until we all got a bit older. So there was never anyone to form a band with or anything like that.
That's a shame. You must have been dying inside for it.
Totally would have been. But then, so after school, actually, I went to art college in Edinburgh, and I always thought that's the place I'm going to start.
Oh, but you at the art college?
Yeah.
Is that the one just up for the Grass Market? I used to stay in the flats, like literally right in front of that, the Westport. Yeah. So me growing up, I think we moved in there in like 97 or something. I was just a wee kid, and my bedroom window looked directly onto the art college. So I don't know why it's always held a place in my heart. Like even when I go past it now, I look at it and I think it was the first thing I seen every morning when I woke up was the art college.
So honestly, a big part of the reason that I went there, apart from the fact it was the only subject at school I was good at was art, was I honestly thought it'd be like there'd be a real music scene and people would be forming bands and you know, it was a bunch of creatives, so that's bound to happen.
It's what it was like back in the day when you hear of bands.
You hear it, you read all the bios, the biographies and all that.
But it's always art college for some reason, eh?
It wasn't like that at all, though.
Oh, really?
No, it wasn't, mate. It really wasn't. And what was funny was it all started kicking off more back home. In Fife, and there was bands like Sargent and all that kind of stuff were all coming through. And there was a real sort of indie scene in Fife and in Glasgow, and so it was more happening away from.
That's brutal, eh?
No, but it was fine because I went back home and me and my mates started a band. We were called the Joker's Melody, and we had some really banging tunes.
Was it just the 2 years?
No, we formed a full band. It was like, I think we were a 5-piece, and we had some really, really good songs, and we only ever did one gig, and then we split up.
Right.
Everybody, not for any big reason, everybody just got distracted and went and did their own things. But again, that was kind of when I realised I've got the confidence to stand up on stage and sing and play my songs to people, you know. So it kind of gave me the buzz for it.
Yeah.
So then the Moon Kids, which was the band that I was in for the longest time, came shortly after that. And that was...
So when did you find that you could sing? Like, when was the point where you realised that you could actually...
Well, maybe I couldn't, but I would do it.
You would do it, right?
And
okay.
then the more you do it, the better you get at it. You know? I mean, I think everybody kind of fancies themselves as a bit of a singer.
I do in the shower.
Yeah, well, I also think everybody can sing. Everybody's got their own voice.
Yeah.
Their own unique voice, and it's just about doing it all the time.
That's the thing, like, is you might hear a voice that you go, God, that's horrendous. But if you put it with the right music, it would work. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I don't think anyone's necessarily a bad singer. I just think you need the right sound to go with the voice.
Yeah, like Ian Brown, a lot of the times people say that he's not a great singer, but it's perfect.
It's perfect for the Stone Roses. Horrendous live, absolutely horrendous live, but for on an album, you couldn't have asked for a better singer for the band, you know, that he was in at the time. Which is brilliant.
But yeah. So, I mean, like I say, I think everybody can sing, so I would just bash away with it.
Yeah.
And I was always a bit insecure about my voice when I was young. Like, getting on stage and singing in front of people felt like such a daunting thing.
Yeah.
As soon as you do it a couple of times, man, and people are, that was really good, then you get over that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so the Moon Kids was me, Rory Buchanan, who was the drummer of Sargent.
Right.
A guy called Taylor Wright, who's now a lead singer in a band called Sunstinger.
Right.
So the three of us would rehearse, and we were rehearsing in a place called the Substation Studios in Rosyth. And the guy that runs the place, Michael Brennan Jr., came in and said, "You guys sound great. You should come and record an EP." So he kind of like gave us the encouragement. And he'd worked with Primal Scream, Idlewild, Super Furry Animals.
Holy shit.
All these bands that we really liked. So he became like a mentor to the band. And we went in and we did that first EP. And to this day is one of my favourite memories of being involved in music. Was when the three of us just went and done that EP because it was so exciting.
Yeah.
Hearing our tunes back.
That's one thing that, like, I'm not a jealous person or anything like that, but see, when I've had bands in here, like younger lads and that, and they're talking about recording and the touring and all that, and that's just one thing I'm like, you jammy bastards. Like,
No, it was great.
I think, obviously, I've got fond memories of being younger and stuff like that, but I don't think it could top being in a band, making music, going out and having a good time with your mates. Like, that's just the vibe I get out of all the bands. Even yourself just saying that there as well, I'm like, fuck, I bet that must have been amazing.
There was an energy in the air with that first EP, and it was fun, and we were all excited, and Michael was excited about the music. One track in particular was called Luna Park, which was the first thing we ever put out. We didn't properly release it. We didn't even know how.
Right.
We just chucked it on YouTube, and it got a bunch of attention, and we got gigs from it. Our first gig, we supported Shed 7.
That was your first gig?
That was our first ever gig, we supported
Holy
Shed
shit.
7. So it just all came from chucking that one video out on YouTube, you know what I mean?
How did you get hooked up to play with them? Was it the guy who helped you record the EP?
So the promotion company in Dunfermline at the time that runs PJ Malloy's, which is like the sort of main gig venue.
Dunfermline, innit?
They were putting Shed 7 on in the Glen Pavilion, which is like, apart from the Alhambra, it's the biggest venue in Dunfermline.
I don't think I've ever been in there. I've been to the Alhambra, I've been to PJ Malloy's, but I've never been to, what was that? What was it called?
Glen Pavilion. So the Glen is the big park in Dunfermline. Right. In the middle of it, there's a gig venue.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yep. So he was putting them on and just asked if we wanted to do it. And we did, and it was perfect first gig, you know what I mean?
Crowd into it, yeah?
Really into it, you know? And obviously very nervous and all that, but at the same time, and still to this day, and I'm sure a lot of musicians say this, the bigger the crowds, the easier it is.
Yeah.
It's less personal.
Yeah.
And it's just like the energy of all the people and the excitement of it all just...
I have heard a lot of people say that. I was actually watching a interview with the Undertaker, the wrestler, a few days ago, and he was saying that. He was like, if you put me in an arena with like 50,000 people, I can talk, no bother, and I can do what I need to do. But he was like, if you put me in the room with like 10 people and ask me to do the same thing, he says, I would absolutely struggle. Absolutely. And I find that bizarre. I find it mad.
It's a thing, man. See when people give me the guitar, if you're at a party and then, play me a tune.
That must be
Play
the
a song of
worst.
that. I hate it, man.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, I just feel, it just feels awkward. Like, you know, I mean, it's never been my thing. I've never been like that. I've never ever sang in karaoke in my life.
Oh, really?
Like, never in my entire
Oh,
life.
mate,
man.
those are my favourite nights out, karaoke.
Really?
Oh, I fucking love karaoke.
I think it's a good laugh watching people, but it's just, not for me.
Do you think that maybe if you were to do that and folk knew that you sang in a band, they'd be like, oh, God, look at this cunt.
A little bit, yeah. I'm
a bit
aware
like
of all
that,
that.
yeah.
Fuck, showing off. You know what I mean? Or if you're really bad, they're like, he's not listening to his band. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's too much riding on it.
Yeah, exactly.
But so the Moon Kids, that was the first lineup. That's how we got started, and things really moved fast.
So was there only 3 years? Sorry.
There was.
Right,
We were
okay.
a 3-piece, and then
Where'd you get the name Moon Kids from? What's that from?
it's not that interesting a story. We didn't know what we wanted to call ourselves, and we thought it'd be cool if it sounded like a fairground gang,
Right.
like from Coney Island or something like that. And then we all loved that film, The Warriors.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They've got the gang names on the back of their
yeah.
jackets. And we're like, the Moon Kids, that'd be a cool gang name.
Did you just have jackets with the Moon Kids on the
No,
back?
we never went that far. But that was just kind of the thinking at the time. It was nothing clever or anything. It was just like, you know, that'd be cool. We thought it was a cool name.
Those are some of the best ones, though, eh? The ones that don't really have much of a story to it.
It's
Just a name.
We thought it sounded cool, and once you put yourself out there and you've got your social media pages up and you release a track, you're stuck with the name.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's your name from then on. So I remember we did a lot of festivals, a lot of BBC radio, we got on TV.
I seen there was a thing on YouTube. It looked pretty intimate. I think it must have just been used in a studio or something like that, playing. Was it in London? Did you go down to London at all?
Probably. We definitely did radio stuff down there. We did radio in
Might
other
have been
parts
that
of
was
England.
that was filmed. I remember watching one video he was on YouTube. It just seemed like a really sort of intimate studio session. So it's probably
I know
the
what
best-
you're talking about.
Probably the best way to
was
describe
the
it.
Laura, it was for BBC Radio 6, I think.
Yeah,
Was it Laura Whitmore?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's
yeah,
what
it was her.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went down to London for that. That was towards the end of the band, so that was a completely different lineup. at
All
that
right,
point.
okay.
So the 3 of us was kind of the first part of the Moon Kids, and then when that kind of fizzled out, I kept going with a few other guys.
Oh, were
and-
you the one that was kind of trying to keep it together?
Yeah, well, I was writing the songs, so
Right.
it was kind of, you know, it was my vision and my band. So I could have just knocked it on the head when the other guys moved on to do other things.
Right.
But I just decided to continue it. And then we had another really great run, which got us to America, showcasing for major labels and stuff like
Oh,
that.
you went to America
Yep.
with the Moon Kids, yeah?
Yeah.
Holy
So
shit.
it was a crazy story, that one. It was like, I mean, it might sound like I'm going off on a tangent, but
Crack on, man. No worries.
I ended up in hospital with a ruptured spleen,
Right.
and I was ready for giving it up at this point, to be honest. You know what I mean? I was getting a little bit sidetracked with other things, and I wasn't maybe giving the music the attention it needed. And I got a random message on Twitter, and it was from a guy called John Ferreter, and it basically said, it was along the lines of, don't give up music, you got something special, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I went and checked him out, and he was like one of the absolute powerhouse talent agent in the US.
Right.
Pierce Morgan's manager. He got Pierce Morgan his first gigs
Right.
in the US and all that sort of stuff. So I ended up building up a relationship with him. Went and met him in Liverpool for Beatles Week, and he invited us out to the States to showcase.
Right.
And he was going to organise a deal with one of the biggest labels. You know, we were taking meetings in Beverly Hills and all that kind of stuff.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
what
it was
the
mad.
Fuck?
It was crazy, man. And like, he was letting us rehearse in his mansion, tennis courts and all the rest of it.
Oh my
Yeah, it was mad.
God, what?
A few guys from Dunfermline. It was really crazy. It was such a buzz.
See, when you're there, you know, just thinking like, this is mental how this is just starts as an idea in your head. Like you were saying there, you learn a couple of, chords on the guitar, and next thing you know, you're in Beverly Hills, fucking tennis courts and
Absolutely.
big.
But the thing was, it wasn't like next thing we were there. There was a lot of work and a lot of graft, and a lot of years went by before that happened. But yeah, it was like, you write this tune on a rainy Wednesday, and you're flat in Dunfermline, and then you're playing it in America, showcasing for labels and stuff like that. So I honestly thought it was going to really happen for the band at that point. I was like,
what was the other boys like?
Oh, they were all buzzing as well.
Yeah,
of course they were. They were like, wow, this is crazy. You know what I mean? And we really, really thought it was going to happen. And John set us the task. He said, go back to Scotland, write me 3 tracks, send those 3 tracks over, and then we'll start approaching the label. And so we wrote and recorded the 3 songs.
That must have been the hardest 3 songs you've ever written in your life, right?
You know what? It wasn't, mate, because I was so inspired. I was buzzing.
I'd be second guessing every lyric I write, every chord I put down.
I was the opposite.
Everything.
I was the opposite because I was like, this is happening. I was so driven and so inspired and motivated that, one of the tracks was already written, but I wrote the 2 and went in, recorded them, and then we were emailing back and forth. John loved the songs.
Right.
And then one day he never got back to an email. And I thought, that's weird. Why is he not?
Was it quite back and forth before then?
I would email him, and minutes later, an email would shoot back. That's how on the ball he was.
Right.
But he never got back to an email, and I thought it was weird. And then I started second guessing myself because he was talking about how he loved the music and all that. And then I was thinking, what have I done? I blew it.
Yeah.
I must have said something wrong. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's horrible.
Overthinking. So anyway, we were at, I think it was the Scottish Music Awards, and Connor, the guitar player in my band, said to me, Dave, I said, what? He was like, John's dead.
Oh, what?
Yeah. I was like, what? And it was in the Hollywood Reporter, and John Ferret, our powerhouse talent agent, dead unexpectedly.
Holy shit.
Complications from an operation.
Jesus.
So it was massive, massive shock. And then kind of took the wind out of our sails, obviously.
Oh, I bet.
And then, so all that kind of stuff was done.
Obviously, like, the guy dies, that's brutal. It's really bad. But is there not... Surely he must have said something to someone else.
It didn't really work like that because I think these labels owed him a lot of favours, and I think he was, pulling strings and orchestrating everything, and I think without him then...
Did no one get in touch with you after that then?
Well, where John left off, I met the Kim from Highway 101 Entertainment, who's from John's hometown,
right,
who we met because of mine and John's relationship. So she kind of took over and jumped in, and I still work with her in Highway 101 Entertainment, her company to this day, but they're mainly based in film. So I think we already spoke about it before, so it's like they help where they can as much as they can.
Yeah.
But it's down to me to go out and do it for myself.
What happens to you guys after you find out he's sadly passed away?
Well, like I say, the wind was taken out of our sails, and it was, it was pretty devastating. Not just for us in our career, but obviously losing someone like that, because he was a huge mentor.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
But
what was sorry, but see when you went to record those 3 songs that he was asked for, was that being recorded with a guy who'd worked with Primal Scream in that?
No.
Or did you just move on?
Moved on. We ended up working with a ton of different producers.
Right.
Purely because Michael would be on tour and stuff like that.
Right, okay, yeah.
So we had to, find other people, and I always like working with different producers. It freshens it up.
Yeah.
Not working with the same person all the time, because then sometimes you get stuck in ways of doing things.
Yeah.
A certain format or whatever.
You end up sounding the same as well.
You can work with different producers, and they hear something different in you.
Yeah.
Like, you ever listen to this band? And they put you onto other things, and you can go in different directions. It keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
So we worked with 3 different producers, and then, like I say, that happened, but we kept carrying on, obviously. And then built up momentum again, and we were sounding super tight by this point.
Is it, when did Enemy come out? Is this around about that time?
Yep.
Aye, because that is a tune, by the way.
Oh, thank you. That was always my favourite song to play live.
See, when I was through Finding You, obviously, I then found out about the Moon Kids, and I listened to that, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
I was
thank you.
like, holy shit, that is different level. Like, it was really, really good.
Loved,
really great.
Absolutely
really great tune.
loved playing that live. Just the real menace in
And
that song.
the video was cool as well. I like the video.
That's in Granton, actually.
Yeah. You know, I actually watched it yesterday because I did find an interview you'd done for some guy in America. I think it was. You were
Right.
like, it was like on a sort of Zoom call or something like that.
All right, okay.
And you were talking about that. And I think the two videos, there was two music videos that were linked up together or something like that.
Yeah, so there was Enemy and Touch of Venice.
That's it, yeah. Because I was listening to Enemy yesterday because my missus was asking, oh, who have you got in? I was like, oh, David Barr. She was like, oh, go and put him on YouTube so I can listen to him. So I put on Monday's Rain, and she was
completely different.
She was like, you know what? I really like that. Like, because I've got a really weird taste in music. Like, I could be listening to one genre next, and then it'd be something completely different. She was like, I'm surprised you like that. And I says, no, I says, that's a really good tune. Like, I thought it was a 90s sounding tune. But we'll talk about we'll talk about that in a bit. And then I put on Enemy, and she was like, I don't like that. She's like, that's more what I was expecting you to be listening to. And I was like, they're both great tunes, but I thought Enemy was a fucking good tune when I heard that, man.
Completely different. So in the Joker's Melody, the very, very first band ever started, we always kind of had this. We had the tunes that were really hard edged, you know, a lot of balls to them, and a lot of attitude and menace. But then we would also have those ones that were just really catchy choruses, melodic, which maybe suit the more mainstream and like, you know, people that are maybe more casual fans of music or whatever would hear it on the radio and be like, I like that. Whereas Enemy, you know, it's a specific style, you know what I mean?
That was a great, when I heard that, I was like, holy fuck. Can't believe that's coming out of my own country, man.
I used to love it because, like you say, it was all around about that time, around about the LA time, the Enemy and all that kind of stuff was written. And gigging was so much fun then, because when that tune came on...
What year is that?
It would have been 2019 or 2020. Right before lockdown, basically. So we built up all that momentum again, and then we had really, really good songs, which became the Moon Kids' second EP. And I'm gutted we released it during lockdown because it didn't get the attention or the interest that it could have done. We didn't get the recordings right. Apart from Enemy, the rest of the songs in that EP, I don't think we got the recordings right at all. But they're really, really good songs. And I do think that they do sound unique as well. I wouldn't really pinpoint, especially Enemy, like, who do you think that sounds like if you had to say?
Who, me? Personally? You know what? I when I listened to it, and I don't know if you'll agree or not, but do you know BDI?
Oh, you think so, right?
But it was more the sort of orchestra sounding that it had in the
string
background.
sound.
It was the strings, and I know that Liam Gallagher and BDI they messed around a lot with the album that they'd done. Not to say that you were ripping them off or anything like that. 'Cause what I think sounds like something will sound completely different to something else. That's the beautiful thing about music, right?
Yeah.
But I liked it, but you know the thing is about Enemy is it sounded like, to me, it was like late 2000s, early 2010s sort of indie music, and it did have like an angst, balls to the wall, like you say, like it just fuck off. That's kind of what I got from it, and I like it's like that. It was like it's just one of those songs you could put on full blast. Neighbours are banging on a wall. Get the fuck. Like, you know what I mean? What are you going to do?
Just super fun to play live.
It is a great tune.
And it was one of the ones that when we were over and we were showcasing one of the standout performances live, the only time I've ever done it in my life, but I walked off stage and walked into the crowd and everything. And I really went for it, man. So we built up all that momentum again. And by this point, the band was sounding super, super tight.
Yeah.
And that's when lockdown happened and it just went...
Oh, man.
It was the second time we kind of... And then the wind had been taken out of our sails. So the first bit of lockdown, I mean, we didn't rehearse, we didn't hang out. Two of the guys were locked down together, they shared the flat. I was locked down by myself. And it was just, you know, you weren't doing it anymore.
Yeah.
And it was like, I got the offer from Highway 101 Entertainment to go to California. So when we opened back up, I went over there to do some recording, and some writing. And it was only supposed to be 3 months, but then Scotland went back into lockdown again.
Yep.
So I ended up staying in America for a year.
All right, so it was a whole year.
A whole year, drove across America, wrote and recorded in Nashville, you know, recorded in Hollywood and all that. And really, 2020 was the best year of my life.
Really?
Yep. I was so fortunate, so lucky
Yeah.
that I didn't suffer in the way that a lot of other people did.
Yeah.
So
I do feel for a lot of bands out there, like especially during lockdown. Like one of my favorite bands at the minute, they're a band called Bad Nerves,
right,
and they released probably what I would say is the greatest album of possibly my generation, at least in my opinion. But that got released during lockdown, and I feel like they don't get the credit they deserve purely because of it, because they can't then tour, they can't then make videos and all that because of restrictions and whatnot.
Also everybody in the industry wasn't working the way that they normally would be, and things weren't maybe getting as pushed as much as they could have been and all that. But it was my daft decision to put it out during lockdown. I just thought,
you don't think it's going to go, because we were locked down for like almost a whole year,
well,
You're not thinking it's going to take a whole year, eh?
My thinking at the time was, no, you know, we're not gigging, we're not doing anything, so we need to do something.
Yeah.
So let's put out the EP.
Yeah.
It was recorded just before lockdown, and yeah, if I went back in time, I wouldn't have put it out then. I would have waited. But things happen the way they happen.
Everything happens for a reason. That's what
I think it was meant to be, because I do think because that didn't do as well. It's what I think it should have done. I think the songs are still great songs. I think that I'd been traveling for a year, living in America. The guys had been locked down. And then when I came back, we did 3 or 4 shows, and it was just very obvious that the enthusiasm had gone.
Yeah.
You know, from...
So you've had a big blow with your guy dying, and then obviously...
Then lockdown
once
as
we built
it up
it can
again.
be deflating. I can imagine. I can understand where everyone would be coming from.
And obviously, like, they're seeing me, you know, in palm trees in California and recording in Nashville. So they must have been like, who does he think he is? You know what I mean? Typical front man and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure there was all that going on. You know what I mean? Maybe just... But I just think, in reality, it had run its course. You know, we'd done it for 8 or 9 years altogether, and it didn't reach the level that I set out for it to reach. Yeah. You know, and I had amazing times, learned a lot.
See, the second time round where, like, obviously you said the first time when the other members left, it was like your decision to keep it going. The second time round where it did, like you say, run its course, was the other guys trying to hold it together, or were you just... Or did you say, no, I've done it before?
It wasn't like that. It was something really trivial between me and the drummer.
All right.
Some really small...
The drummer, it's usually like the lead guitarist and the singer or something, you know?
No, the guitar player Connor was always just like... he just wanted to turn up, play his guitar, play his gigs, and get on with it. So it wasn't him. The bass player was still one of my closest friends to this day. He was playing the bass for the band at that point. Yeah. He was really enjoying it. He hadn't been in a band for a while, and then he was playing with us. So he wanted to keep it going. Yeah. But it's something really trivial, and I could tell the drummer didn't want to do it anymore. And I could have went out and got another drummer, and could have started again with a new lineup. I was just like, I've not got the energy to go back and do that again. This band.
It's also, it must have been hard for you to even consider going back and doing it again if you are in LA. Living it up, like I would be more drawn to be in LA than go back to Fife any day of the week. I
still obviously Fife. I still come back to all the time. I'm at my place in Fife right now, but yeah, I just think that I maybe changed a bit as well. During, I mean, if you go traveling for a year, you're going to change as a person. Oh yeah, and I think that I changed. Like I say, they had been locked down for a long time, so their attitude would have been different to me. Yeah. You know, so I just think it was time we'd grown apart, maybe me and the drummer or whatever.
Yeah.
And I felt like that I'd put so much and I was putting so much in, and being on my own wouldn't really be any different to what I was already feeling like was going on.
The thing is, you can always get session musicians in if needed.
Or start a new band or whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
But I just think when it gets to a certain point with a band, if they've been going for a long time and it hasn't happened, it's not gonna. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No matter how hard you work, no matter how much you try and push this thing, it was like dragging up a dead horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of devastating. Like, I it's kind of heartbreaking in a way when you do hear the bands that have been like bashing tunes out for X amount of years, and they've still got in their head like, oh, one day, just this one tune, and that's it. But everyone looking in, they don't want to tell them like it's not happening. Like, as great as you might be, it's unfortunately it's not
you are
happening.
aware of it though, because like,
is it in the back of your mind?
It's
like,
in the
'cause it
back of
must
your
just
mind,
be
but
eating away at you.
I like to be optimistic, and I always, if someone tells me I can't do something, I became the guy. Obviously, I'll prove them wrong. You know, I've always been a bit
absolutely.
like that. But I was like that for years, and it didn't matter that we weren't getting the attention or the followers or the likes or all that kind of stuff that we were getting, or the amount of streams or all that. I just thought, no, because we'll do it as long as you work hard. You know, put 150% in. But sometimes with bands and stuff, it doesn't work like that. You know? It's about the energy and the vibe and the positivity of the whole thing. You know what I mean? And I just feel like it became more frustrating than enjoyable towards the end. So it was time. And then I knew that I was going to keep doing music because I think I always will. You know, writing songs. When you write songs, it's not just something you turn off. It is something that's in you, and you always have that thirst to do it. You know what I mean?
It's one of those things, like, especially for me, like, I've tried writing music, tried writing lyrics. I cannot do it for the life of me. But see, if I'm speaking to someone that I know that can do it, I'll encourage them to keep doing it, because anything I can't do, I always encourage folk, if they can do it, to do it. Because I think I said it to one band that was in here, I was like, there's a difference between being like a casual listener of music, which I am, and being able to write it, because obviously you're a casual listener as well, but you will be a casual listener of music, and being able to write is just the next level in music in general. It's just something I cannot do. I've tried it, I just cannot do it. I just cannot do it. I love listening to music. I've listened to music all my life. I'm a bit like yourself. I was brought up with Kraftwerk, David Bowie, Depeche Mode, Erasure, hip hop, dance, techno music for the 90s. But I just can't write music. I've got all the tools and the software. I've got a keyboard in my house that I mess about with, FL Studio.
Right.
I've made hip hop beats and whatnot. I've made electronic sort of sounding 80s music along the lines of Pet Shop Boys and OMD and stuff like that. But when it comes to writing lyrics, I just cannot do it. I cannot do it. And I think, like, obviously you can do it. You can rhyme words. But whenever I do it, I just like, oh, that's shit. But then a lot of the music I listen to, like, take Depeche Mode's first album, for example, the lyrics are rubbish. They're just pure gibberish. And it's like, I'm doing the exact same thing, but when you'll judge yourself more than something else you already love, you know?
You can really overthink things as well, though.
And I think that's what I probably do.
It does take a certain level of, like, I don't know if it's ego or confidence or what it is, but to think, that's good. You know, as an artist, you have to be able to say that about your work. You have to be able to critique your work and always try and improve. But you do have to have something inside you that says, no, that's good.
Well,
I would listen to that.
It's weird you should say that. Like, I was telling you about the YouTube stuff I do. Once I'm finished making a video and I'll rewatch it back, I'm like, that's the shit. I would watch that. Anything music-wise, oh, God, that's horrible. That's shit. I would never listen to that. And it's horrible. So whenever I'm talking to people that are able to write music and have written music, played live in that, I'm just kind of like, it's amazing. Like, it is. It's an amazing talent to have.
But you're always like that with anything, aren't you? You're in awe of people that can do something that you can't
Yeah.
do. Because people that, you know, scientists and all the rest of it, that can do stuff that I could never do. I'm the same. Like, how do they do that? That blows my mind. But I guess everyone's just got their own gifts and their own skills, and you know what I mean.
I'll say, keep on doing it, mate. Keep on doing it. Keep on doing it.
Next time you get me on, I'll have my walking stick. You know, I'm still at it, Danny. So the with the solo stuff, when I was in America, I ended up meeting Anthony J. Resta, the producer. No, in fact, it was Nashville, actually. I wrote Monday's Rain in Nashville.
Right.
So I'd been away from Scotland for months on end by this point. And it sounds nuts being in Nashville and in California and all that kind of stuff. But I genuinely missed home comforts, the rain, haggis suppers, all the normal stuff. And I just remember feeling a bit homesick during that period, and then fighting through the homesickness and telling myself, you know, look on the brick, look where you are, look what you're doing, you should be. And that's kind of what Monday's Rain is about.
I remember that happened to me when I went to Vegas for 2 weeks, and one thing I missed when I was there was king rib suppers. So the first thing I done once I got back to Edinburgh, straight for the chippy.
I do it every time,
king
man.
ribs. I think it was about 11 in the afternoon or something, but I was like, I'm having a king rib supper.
I do it every time. I always get fat when I come back to Scotland, because like, come back, it's haggis suppers, steak bridies, all the stuff you can't get anywhere else, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so wrote Monday's Rain through a mutual contact. She got me in touch with a couple of guys that had their own studio, a couple of young guys. And
did you film the music video for that in London? Am I right?
In London.
It was London.
So that's when I got back to the UK. I went to London first. Because
I was being asked actually about that music video, right? And it's the same. You know, if I met Richard Ashcroft from The Verve, I would ask him the same thing. What's it like recording a music video in public with other people walking around you and there's a camera on you? What's that like?
You just have to block it out.
Really?
Yeah, it's just like actors when they're acting and they've got a set full of people and all eyes are on them.
Because it's great.
Well, it's like you right now, you've got the cameras on, right? And they're rolling, but are you thinking about who's watching you? No, you're concentrating on me.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. Because I liked the music video. I thought it was a great music video. But see, when I'm watching other people go by, I'm just thinking, see, if that was me walking by, I'd be like, who's that dick?
Well, I'm sure there probably was a lot of people thinking that, but whatever, man. Art comes first.
Exactly. Exactly.
Whatever. I had the idea for the music video and I wanted to do it, and you know, I was more concentrating on the end product as opposed to what people were thinking.
Those are always my favourite kind of music videos, when you just see the artist out and about, walking about, singing. I like that. It's a great music video.
Thank you. The thing is with places like, you know, New York or London or Los Angeles or whatever, if stuff like that is going on in the background, a lot of people don't even bat an eyelid.
Yeah.
Because it's happening all the time in these places.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like if I was standing in Dunfermline High Street doing it, you know, then I'd probably get some odd eyes.
I know, why didn't you choose Dunfermline? Why didn't you choose Dunfermline?
Well, but you know what I mean? So it's like, I just never really thought about it. I remember at one point, the guy that was filming, he was walking backwards, and Kim from Highway 101 Entertainment, she was like guiding him.
Yeah.
And a couple of times he walked into like cyclists and stuff, and it was like almost a fight kicking off. And in fact, later on, when we were filming at night, so the very end scene of that video is me in Berwick Street. You know the What's the Story Morning Glory album cover? Is that. It's me in that frame. So I'm standing in that frame of What's the Story Morning Glory.
Right.
And so that's where the song ends. So we did that at night in Soho. Super busy. You know, everybody's out drinking and all the rest of it. So we're standing in the middle of the road and this car comes straight down and it's not moving. It tried to run us over and we jumped off. And then the guy that was filming...
Did it actually try and run you over, the car? Really?
For real, man. And I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. The guy that I did the video with. But anyway, he shouted, what he's doing. You know what I mean? What you up to? Big mistake. Bunch of kids, hoods up and all the rest of it, jumped out, knives and all. I'm not joking.
Holy shit.
So me and him are like, oh no, you know what I mean? This isn't a great end to the video, end to the shoot. And it was actually Kim from Highway 101 Entertainment. She's like 5'2" or 3" or something, you know, ran over and she's like, and she's getting on at them. And it was almost like they saw their mums giving them a row. They backed off instantly, jumped in their car and drove. But if it was me or him that ran up to him, you know what I mean?
No,
It would have all kicked
game
off.
over. Game over.
But yeah.
Shanked up in London blood.
Yeah,
Shanked up in London.
Don't want that. But so that was the first release. And I really wanted to put something out. It took me 2 years to release something. Because when the Moon Kids split up, like I say, I was traveling, I was doing other things. And I really didn't want to rush into band splits up, start putting stuff out straight away. I needed a little space from it. I know the other guys in the band went straight into things. You know, it didn't take them long, but I wanted to hang back and wait until I felt the time was right to put myself back out there again. So put Monday's Rain out, and the response was phenomenal.
Did you have a lot of people who were into your previous like bands and that? Were they listening to that as well?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Absolutely. So a lot of that, and then a lot of people that I'd met during my travels who maybe didn't even know me as the Moon Kids singer, and were seeing me for the first time actually doing music and stuff. So
that's a great way to network in that as well, just through travelling, just by standing in bars and that, chatting away to people.
It is the best way, man, is travelling, like sitting on the amount of trains or planes and stuff that I've been sitting on, and these serendipity moments happen where you meet people and you know, different things come from it, and you stay in each other's lives, and you know.
No, that's cool.
That's what it's all about, man. It's just really getting yourself out there and meeting people. You know what I mean? So that happened, and I was delighted with the response that Monday's Rain got. So that's the reason for releasing the second single. Just these are like testers, just testing the water.
Right.
And then I've got a bunch of tracks written that I'm going to go in and record and release a bigger project.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I obviously must see you in a bigger light than what you see yourself in terms of your music. So is it just a case of like you've released The Moon Underwater? So is the latest tune, which is a great song as well. I really did enjoy that. So you've got like a back catalogue of tunes just waiting to be released.
Ton of tunes, man. It's a ton of tunes. I want to work with the right producer. You know, if I was in America, I'd work with Anthony again. But I'm going to be in London, I think, most of this year.
Right. So
I need to find somebody in London that I really gel with and get the tunes and release every 6 weeks.
Is that what you're looking for?
Well, that's the game now, isn't it? So that's if you want to tap into Spotify's algorithms and all that, you need to release like 4 to 6 weeks consistent. That's the way they want it.
I've noticed that these days is it's like a band will release a bunch of singles, and then the next thing you know, it just all gets put into an album, as they say, and then it's
at the moment that's the format.
That's the way the way you do it,
which is always changing. Could be something different in a year. Who knows?
But no, I'm looking forward to hearing your future releases. So I take it you haven't performed live as a solo artist then?
Not yet. Like I say, these releases were testing the waters, and you know, some of the write-ups I got and the reviews and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was just really like, wow, okay, cool. Okay, I'm going to have another stab at this. I'm going to release music.
So if you'd released Monday's Rain and it flopped, would have there been no Moon Underwater or anything like that? Would have you just canned it then, or?
Moon Underwater was already recorded.
Right, okay.
I'll tell you the story about Moon Underwater in a minute, but I would have put that out.
Right.
Just to have it out there. Moon Underwater is more of a grower. Monday's Rain's instant.
Yeah.
That's the one, that's the radio friendly one that people would hear. And
I got that when I listened to both of them. Like you say, Monday's Rain is more the sort of commercial side. It's a great tune. But Moon Underwater, I listened to it, and I've listened to it a few times. It's a great tune. First time I was kind of like, well, that's fucking different. But like you say, it's a bit of a grower. It takes a bit, and I'm one of these people that see when a new album comes out or a single from an artist, I don't listen to it one time and say, "Oh, that was shit" or "that was good."
Well,
I'm one of those folk that will, especially if I don't like it, if I'm not a fan of it, I will re-listen to it again because there has been many bands, there's been many albums, there's been many singles I've heard throughout my life where initially, when I first listened to it, I was like, "God, that was awful," but then it's like the third or fourth time you're like, it's like something clicks in your head. It's like that's what they're wanting you to unlock. Like that's
what it
it.
is you start to understand the nuances of the track.
Yeah.
The lyrics and certain parts of it and all that, they all start to come together and make sense.
The arrangements, everything. Yeah, I love that.
I always think a lot of the times with the instant ones, they get sickly.
Yeah.
So on the 30th time you've heard it, you're done.
It's like fast food, isn't it? That's what it's like. It's just that quick fix.
They are the singles. They're the ones that pull people in. But some of my favourite songs in the world are the ones that the first couple of times I heard it, I'm like, what? I don't get that. What are they doing? And then you start to understand it.
It clicks.
Like, wow. And then you never get tired of it. You know what I mean? So you do get those songs as well. The tracks that I've got that aren't recorded yet, the choruses in them are like the best choruses that I've written to date, you know?
Yep.
So I said the Moon Kids' first EP, Luna Park, was the song that hooked everybody. We had another one called Strange Thoughts on Sunday, and then Monday's Rain, Enemy. These are the sort of big songs. These ones that I've written recently are like that kind of level, you know?
Yeah.
I know for a fact that once I put them out, and I know that now that I'm a little bit more savvy about how to work these social media platforms and stuff, that they are going to connect, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like I say, Moon Underwater, I knew it was a grower. That was more of it was a personal track. So when the band first split up and I was in California, I was in a motel, and I don't want to talk about it too much, but my mum was dying at this point.
Right.
So I lost my band. I was losing my mum.
Yeah.
And I was a million miles away from home.
Yeah.
I felt very, very lonely and isolated.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was maybe drinking too much, not focused on the things I should have been focused on, all that kind of thing. And I just had the acoustic guitar. I wasn't even sure if I was going to do music anymore. And Moon Underwater like came out like that, like in a wanna.
I seen your little the video on Instagram, or it might have been YouTube actually. I can't remember what one it was, but you were talking about where it come from. And I thought it was like kind of beautiful, like you were saying about like your mum and stuff like that. And it's heartbreaking to me because I think as a guy, like that's one thing you don't want to lose is your mum. And it fucking tears me apart. I'm almost fucking tearing up.
Yeah,
I just don't like the thought of it. So see, when I hear another guy talking about that, I'm like, fuck, because I know that's going to happen to me one day. And I don't know if that's maybe why the song clicked with me, because I'm like, then I'm putting my mind into your mind. Like when I'm listening to it, I'm thinking, fucking hell, this guy's like literally put his, you know, his thoughts on paper here for everyone to listen to and everyone to be judged. Or to be judged, but like when you think of like where it come from, it's a fucking great tune, man.
Yeah,
it really is.
So, and really, it was like I said, like not having the band anymore. Something that I was really like passionate about and focused on. That was going situation with my mum, being a million miles away from home. I was pretty lost.
Yeah, I bet.
I think that's why I was like doing like drinking too much or going out late nights, all the rest of it, and all that kind of stuff. And I just knew that I needed to write again. I needed to get back into music and I'll focus because I'm a little bit lost. And wrote that. It started off, it was going to be a song, you know, like The Man Who Sold the World. David Barr, like kind of about like self-destruction and that kind of stuff. But then when I was writing it, it became totally different. And I think it's a positive song. You know, it's more about like being resilient and being defiant. That's how I see it. You know, like the line, I'm in the Rolling Stones and all that. It's just, again, what you said about Enemy, the F you.
Yeah.
I do think Moon Underwater, although it's a delicate song, it's still got that F you in it.
It does. It does have that F you mentality. And I do like that.
And I do think that that mentality at moments in my life, like that particular moment where, you know, probably the worst thing that I'd ever been through, I was going through, that FU mentality and that resilience is what gets me through.
Got you through it, yeah.
It does. And, you know, I don't know if that's right or if it's wrong or whatever, but that is what helps me as a guy. Is just, I do need that certain level of just like, you know.
Just crack on, just fucking get it, you
not
know?
even just crack on, but just, you know, I'm not going to accept this. You know, I'm going to keep fighting through. And it was the song, I think, is a nice tribute to my mum.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the video and stuff, it's dedicated to her.
The video's not on YouTube, is it?
It is now, yeah.
Is it on YouTube? Because I looked for it yesterday. I couldn't find it on YouTube, and I was like, I've seen it. I don't know if you had it on Instagram or something before, but I was trying to show my missus it because I said that it was because she liked the Monday's Rain. I was like, well, you listen to the other song. So that's great as well. And I couldn't find it on YouTube for some reason.
Yeah, it's weird. Usually, if you just type up Moon Underwater, David Barr, it should flash up at the top, but I don't know. Maybe it's been pulled down.
Never know.
Nah, it's definitely there, mate. So I really wanted to get that song out there regardless, even just as a tribute to my mum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, if the songs didn't do well or nobody liked them or whatever, I could say, nah, I would have been done with music. I would have focused on other things and went another way. But at the same time, maybe I wouldn't have. Maybe I would have waited a bit and then done something else. It just kind of person I am. I always have to be creating something or being focused on something or
good
fighting for something or have a dream that I'm aiming for.
Yeah, good,
you know what I mean?
Good. It's a good way to be. So take it with the newer songs that you're going to release. Is there going to be some sort of like an album release at the end of it, or are you just dropping single?
I'm not putting any pressure on it to be anything like that at the moment. I want to do one track at a time.
Cool.
See how it goes, and I really am just putting myself out there again from scratch after the Moon Kids. You know, I obviously built up some attention from them, but I'm a new artist.
And then
now.
what's going to happen in terms of playing live as a solo artist? Or you're not even thinking about that just now?
No, I am thinking about that, but like I say, I've been on the go, like fairly nomadic for 4 years now.
Yeah.
As you can tell with the bags under my eyes. But,
you still look the bollocks, man.
Thanks,
Don't worry
mate.
about that. Don't worry.
But when I'm actually settled, like I say, I think I'm going to be in London most of 2024.
Yep.
That's when I can focus on actually doing the live thing again.
Right.
And maybe I might even end up starting a new band. And the solo stuff could be a side project to the new band. Or I do find musicians that want to go out there and play as me solo. But it's not something I'm stressing too much about.
Yeah.
I love playing live, but you know, writing the songs and being in the studio and releasing the songs to the world, you get an equal buzz from that as you do as playing gigs.
Absolutely.
So, when the time's right, the gigs will happen. You know, I'm just not going to force it.
Yeah.
A lot.
Just let it come naturally.
Let it
Best
come.
way to be.
Let it come and just do your thing.
Yeah.
I think sometimes with the Moon Kids, I was really like, trying to push it so hard. I was almost trying too hard with the Moon Kids. You know, it's like no, it's just and getting too frustrated with it all.
Yeah.
This is more like, you know what?
But you're a bit older now, aren't
I'm
you? You're a
older,
bit wiser and that, so you're just you've got a better idea how it works now.
I'm
I think.
way more chilled out than I used to be.
Yeah.
Especially when the band first started.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm just happy as long as I'm happy with the content and the art that I'm creating.
Yeah.
Then I'm happy just to do my thing and see what happens. You know what I mean?
Oh, brilliant. That's sound. Hey, are you all right if we wrap it up
Let's
there?
wrap up and let's watch Arsenal.
That's it. Because we just got Crookie come out there being like, "Oh, I've got an hour, or coming up for an hour." I think that's what he means when he comes out and does that. And I'm itching to watch Arsenal.
Me
I'm
too,
also
mate, me
itching
too.
to figure out or find out what that Liverpool Crystal Palace score was, because Crystal
Oh,
Palace
right
were winning 1-0.
Right
And I'm sure that's finished now. But can you let all the viewers at home know where they can find you online and places like that?
Yeah, so my handles are David A. Barr on Instagram.
Yep.
Facebook it is David Barr Songs.
Right.
YouTube it is David Barr Music. And TikTok, David Barr Music.
And they go on them and everything's linked to each other, yeah?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
If you go on my Instagram, there's a link tree. Hit that and it's got everything.
Yeah. I also encourage everyone who's been watching this as well to go on Spotify, check him out. Just have the song on repeat. Turn your phone down. Just
Get
fall asleep.
0.003 of a pence every stream. So
So
you're a millionaire.
millionaire through sleeping. Have you got anything else you want to say before we wrap up? Are you all good?
No, great,
all
man.
good?
Enjoyed
No.
that. It was cool.
Thanks very much for coming in here. I really appreciate your time. And like I say, everyone, check him out. Phenomenal artist in music and whatnot. Also, we've got a ton of other videos of interviews I've done with other bands as well. If you want to check them out, drop us a like, hit the subscribe button, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. See ya!